Sorry. Trying to figure out how to set my phone up. Hey, Adam. Hey, Terry. Nice to see y'all. I'm sorry. You might have to deal with the white thing. Let me grab my headphones. I'm just trying to figure out a way that I can, like, actually have. Yeah, as usual, I am fashionably late. Always. All right. Yes. There we go. Okay, cool. Sweet.
Cocaine is a drug. Oh, hello.
Sorry, I've got like this white thing, but I don't have a thing to hold my phone, so.
It looks like cocaine.
Yeah, it is. It's all.
It is.
That's it.
Complete brick. Just
left
right across.
In front of me.
And it'd probably be a couple of them.
Right.
But yeah.
So
anyway, what's going on?
here. Everybody, this is Spencer. He's from the Dopesick show. So I thought we would interview him and give him the Jeopardy treatment.
Yeah, I'm the complete train wreck that pretty much everybody watched derail live in real time. So
I don't think that's true. But
oh, it's definitely true. That's completely 100% true. Yeah, do 12 years without using and then completely skid off and
just skid off and got it.
Oh yeah, I keep it gutter as a mother whenever I do it. So it's not anything halfway. I jumped out of a second floor window, ran a mile down the street, and kicked the windows out of a state trooper's house. That was
oh my god, that's
not,
true.
that actually happened. That actually happened.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
How about the one that time that what we were talking about? You telling me earlier, the 10 minutes of your life you can't get back.
10 minutes of my life I can't get back. There's a lot of 10 minutes of my life which I can't get back. Which one? Which one are you talking about?
The one where you got a certain disease.
Oh yeah. I had AIDS for 10 minutes. Yeah, for y'all know, I didn't have. I had AIDS for 10 minutes. So they told me I had syphilis they had told me I had syphilis with the chance of AIDS. Cloudy with the chance of rain.
Right.
And yeah, no, this is happening in a rehab. So they told me I had syphilis with a chance of AIDS.
In rehab, so you're sober as a motherfucker when this is going on.
I'm 18 years old. I'm 18 years old, and they tell me you got syphilis. I'm like, now how in the hell did that happen? Because I'm a hypochondriac, and just put it straight up, I strapped up every time. So I'm like, how the fuck did I get that shit? And anyway, then they said, well, sometimes HIV triggers the test. And I'm like, well, that's so much better. Thank you for letting me know that. We'll talk about this later. And I thought, we'll talk about this later. Hell, we're going to talk about this right now.
Right.
And I walked back in and it's uncharacteristic of me, but it pissed me off with how cold the woman was about telling me, well, we'll talk about this later with a smile on her face. And I said, no, we're going to talk about this now. And I slung the papers off her desk. They kept calling me Steven. I'm like, Steven. You want to give me a death sentence? You can get my name right. And that's when I realized they got the wrong test results.
Oh, damn. That sucks. So, so everybody can get to know you a little bit better. Like, just tell me kind of your story, like where you started, where you ended up.
I started selling heroin when I was 13 years old. I did heroin before I drank my first beer. I didn't do it till I was 15, though. Didn't drink the first beer till I was 16. It's easier to get. Drug dealers were late.
Damn, that's crazy.
Drug dealers didn't want to drive down the street to get us any beer, but they'd sell some dope. And,
it's terrible. Like, it's sad.
It's messed up. And I started driving when I was 16 for the guy who's pretty much the guy in our area. And I thought I was one of the guys, and I was getting used, because I would have gotten a year for what they would have gotten 25 years for. And I see it for what it is now, but at the time I could not see it. I thought I was one of the guys. We stayed in the Hotel Roanoke in the governor's suite. It's a whole top floor. It's $800 a night for a month. That's $2,400. And we were high as shit, walking in there stumbling, looking stupid and crazy as hell. And after a month, they basically just told us, "Y'all got to go. You're not going to be just paying with cash that you pull out of a wad of your pocket."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so the guy who I was selling for, he pretty much, after I started driving and stuff, he just got so messed up all day that I basically took over the whole daily operations. But I wasn't making money like that. He was making the money. I was getting fat, but I sold pretty much everything, every different type of thing. Once one connection fell out, I went to another. But
Mhm.
I saw because the kids, the grade ahead of us, would mess with us. They were terrible. They would torture the
Mm.
kids in my grade. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like got high peer pressure and friends. I
Mhm.
started doing dope, so then nobody messed with me. I was a short, fat kid, and I thought it's going to take too long to learn karate. So I got legs like Gary Coleman. Will study things. I'm not going to be doing any high kicks on anybody. Uh, it wasn't going to happen. So yeah, it just seemed easier to get a piece and get a half a pound of green and then go that route.
Yeah.
And was stupid and ignorant and led to most of my 20s being lost to federal prison.
Yeah. So let's go there. So what did you get incarcerated for? Like you got incarcerated for what were your
Yeah.
charges exactly?
Now I ended up getting in trouble because what happened was one night I knew I'd had indictments coming out for my state charges, which were distribution of heroin.
Mhm.
Now my federal charges ended up coming from when I quit selling heroin, and I decided I had the right idea. How am I going to keep out of trouble? And that's a pit bull snoring, by the way. I apologize for that, but that's a full pit bull snoring.
It sounded like a motorcycle outside.
Yeah, no, that's a full on pit bull. Uh,
Oh, look
yeah,
at that.
that
They're so
is snoring.
cute.
Yeah, that big old babies. This
Oh,
boy right
so
here,
cute.
about 90
Oh,
pounds.
hi.
He'll bite somebody's nutsack off like a paper towel. So don't have to
He's
worry
cute.
much about
I love how
don't
big their heads are. Like they got the biggest heads and they're so cute. Oh,
Yeah, he's a big old baby. It took it, and he's one of those ones that I like him because he's not just going to like you. You got to
yeah,
earn,
you had to earn it.
yeah, you got to earn his trust, and it took me a minute, but I taught him a few tricks and everything else, and he's a
Oh,
good puppy, but but what I was going to say was yeah, so I allowed a drug dealer to live with me in exchange
mhm.
for dope twice a day
Yeah.
in the morning and in the night. You get my high. Now, what ended up happening was I ended up doing more drugs than they did because they were nodding out and they'd have a razor blade trying to cut me off a
Yeah.
piece off of a raw piece of a chunk. And when they
Mhm.
were nodding out, I would tap that finger and hit that razor blade, and then about a half gram would fall off, and then I'd be
Yeah,
doing more than they
you'd
would
be
in the
good
end.
for you'd be good for a while.
Oh, yeah, about 4 hours. No,
Hey, Betty.
not 4 hours, more than that. But it was terrible. And what ended up happening was I got a random knock at the door one night, and it was
Mhm.
a guy who I went to high school with who was a grade ahead of me.
Mhm.
I had not seen him in 2 years. His name was Scott.
Mhm.
I said, Scott? He said, Spencer. I said, what are you doing here? I said, it's my apartment, man. He said, guess you know why I'm here. So I sent him back. Now, ultimately, he bought some drugs from the person who was selling drugs in my apartment. He took them home, he used them, and he overdosed and he died. The
Um.
same night, his two friends left him to die. His two friends, Blake and John, left him to die. Simultaneously, at the exact same time that was happening, there was a guy in my apartment named Brian Goebel. Brian Goebel, I did mouth to mouth and CPR on until EMS got there, and I refused to drag him out in the hallway when everyone else wanted to. And I went to jail for that
Yeah.
because I had indictments. I was on the run for indictments. And,
Yeah.
you know, what ended up happening was I got told on for what I did not do. The dealer told on me for what they did.
Yeah.
And I was
They basically
facing
put it all on you.
yes, and something that people don't know, which was one of the biggest things that I want people to know. I try to tell kids every time I've spoken to them. I used to do a Saturday kids program where I spoke to the parents and the kids,
That's
and
awesome.
it's it's an interesting thing. There's always some little shit though that just irks your nerves. There's always some little shit. It's usually a Justin Bieber haircut having white kid that talks about weed should be legalized. Well, I guess it is now. So I hadn't
Yeah.
done it in a minute. So it's I hadn't heard whatever newest dumbass stuff the
Yeah.
new Justin Bieber kid is coming up with. But I told him he should do some push-ups because the way he ran his mouth, he's going to need to do them where he's going. But but anyway, the thing is, if you sell a $10 bag of anything, say I
Mhm.
sell a $10 bag of crack, and nobody's ever tried it before, the person who using it hasn't tried it before. I mean, and they freak out.
Yeah.
And EMS is called. That is
Mhm.
considered and classified as an overdose. In the federal system, an overdose carries a mandatory minimum of 20 years, which means you do 17 years on it. And that's regardless of whether you live or whether you die. I was charged with the person who died and with the person who lived. 40-year mandatory minimum, maximum of life. At like 21 years old at the time, 22,
Yeah.
21 or 22. And I was getting notes from my co-defendant friends from them saying I should take the charge because I'm younger. They won't give me as much time. My lawyer asked me if I was effing, or in a not so politically correct word, stupid. He said, "You do realize what a mandatory minimum means, right?" He said, "That means you're going to be doing, the best you can get is 34 years.
Yeah.
34 years." Now, they could have combined the 220. Well, that's still 17 years. That was
Yeah.
dang as long as I had been alive. And for something I didn't do. And it didn't matter because there were so many witnesses that were testifying against me that it it wouldn't matter if I'd said, "No, I didn't do that. That's a lie.
Yeah.
She's full of shit." But what ended up happening was they found Brian Goebel, the person who lived. And the guy whose life I saved my life.
Yeah.
He spoke up for me and he told the truth. And if he had not spoke up for me and told the truth, I would not be here right now. So I owe Brian
That's
Goebel my life
amazing.
back. Yeah, it's I owe him my life. I mean, because if he hadn't spoke up, I wouldn't be here right now. And the investigating agent, I don't want to say his name. It feels like Voldemort off Harry Potter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, or Beetlejuice. Say his
Yeah.
name 3 times, and he's going to appear somewhere. That bald head of his shines. It irks me just thinking
That's
about
how
it.
they be, though. They will appear if you say their name 3 times.
Oh God! And a lot of them was like straight up dope fiends. A lot of the undercover
Well,
federal
a
agents.
lot of the undercovers now, I've heard that they passed a new law where they can get high. I think you told me that, wasn't it? Was it you that
No,
told me
I
that?
didn't tell you that. I didn't know that shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
biker. If you're like doing undercover work in a like biker gang now, like you can do coke, you can do heroin, you can do it all. So a lot of the undercovers actually have problems now because they can do it. They can do the dope because they got to do the dope because they'll say, "Hey, you swear like what's going on? You don't do it with us." And that's how they were testing them, and now they can do it and not get in trouble for it.
I know a prison YouTuber who, well, he's not really a prison YouTuber anymore, but I'm not going to mention his name, but he had a video
Hmm.
of somebody getting high that was a police officer, undercover agent,
Hmm.
and they were getting high by themselves in a room by themselves. So there was no excuse to be getting high by themselves.
Yeah. No.
They could destroy everything they've done and every bit of work they've done.
Yeah.
They ended up telling him basically, you're going to take this down. How much would you make on this video usually? And they end up paying him off and telling him like
Holy shit.
they paid him off, but they told him like basically, listen, we're going to give you some money. You're going to take the money, but if you don't take the money, we're going to destroy you.
Oh my
We're going to
god.
destroy you. Yeah,
And a
and
lot of the cops, like that's the one thing I hate is a lot of cops are just as bad as like the criminals they arrest or worse.
oh yeah, yeah. It's a whole gang in itself, and that's something that was scary. Was whenever I
Night,
did
Adam.
jump. Uh,
Sorry, I'm talking about chat too.
oh no, you're good. What were you gonna say?
I just said good night to somebody, but I
Okay.
said it over you, so I just wanted to. Yeah.
It's all good. Oh, I just saying I agree with you completely. They are awful
Yeah.
with that. It really scared the hell out of me because I was just running from the shadow people. That's all I was doing. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to hurt nobody. Shadow
No.
people was chasing the hell out of me. And shit, I wasn't trying to, hurt that state trooper's house. I just knocked on his door because I was trying to get help from the shadow people. But he didn't see
Yeah.
the shadow people behind me when he opened the door. So I kicked his windows in.
He just couldn't see
Um,
it.
yeah, so I kicked his windows in, but he's a state trooper, so he's a little bit paranoid. So he had reinforced windows, so they didn't really kick in. They just kind of buckled in a little bit, you know. And then I ran through this what do they call those things? Those tubes that go under like grass, like it's like for a creek to pass through.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Like a culvert. Is that right? A
It's a
culvert?
big ass concrete tube.
Yeah, I think it's called a culvert. It
Well, I
goes like,
ran back
yeah.
and forth. Yeah, I ran back and forth between one of them, thinking I was getting. Man, it's hard to tell what was real and what wasn't that night, but it was
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me. I thought I was going to die. But what really did happen, for a fact, was the neighbor ended up there, and there was another cop in up there, and he took his thing and pressed it to my sternum, and he looked
Mm.
at the guy whose house it was, the police officer's house, and he said, "What do you want me to do?" And this was before anybody was there, and he was asking him if he wanted to pop me in my chest right then, and that was like I faked a heart attack. I said, "Ugh, I'm gonna throw up," and I said, and then I put my hands in front of my chest, I wiggled them
Mhm.
up, and I
Yeah.
thought, well, you put a hole through my hand.
Yeah.
Good luck explaining self-defense with that.
Yeah.
I've done that more than once with them, but the police scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. You told me some stories that have made me side eye a lot because, like, with what I do with true crime and whatnot, you think law and justice is everything, and then you get fucked up with the justice system. Like, this has happened to me, and it's like you get fucked up with the justice system, and you see what they put on those papers. That's not true. It's not true. They can manipulate it to say anything that they want, and it really is. It's awful.
What you're talking about is exactly true too, because that's what I'm talking about with my case. Is there are 6 people. Okay, I can tell you their names right now. Alex Lanham is the mother of his children, Lindsay. Um, Blake Corbett, John Baker, who were the 2 who left Scott to pass.
Yeah.
Um, and then Rusty. I'm not going to say any more than Rusty because Rusty is one of my best friends. He was living there at the time. And
Yeah.
then Brian Goebel himself. He's another person. All of them can
Hmm.
say I had nothing to do with anything to do with any deal with the person who died. The
Hmm.
only thing I had was an apartment in which it was sold in. So
Yeah.
the investigating agent told all of these people individually, if you do not sign a paper saying that he is the one who gave Scott the dope and that you saw it, that you will get 10 years in federal prison. And they said, but we didn't see him do it. And he said, I don't care. He
I don't
said,
care
yes,
what
you
you
did.
saw. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, yes, you did. Now, he said, yes, you did. Sign it. And they really hadn't. Blake Corbett and John Baker had never been in my apartment ever in their lives.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, I knew him from high school, but they'd never been in my apartment ever. And that's how I got him. I told him, I said, ask him what the front room looks like. Because the front room was a funny shape and it had
Hmm.
2 doors to it. It had one door that went up one stairwell and the back door went up down another stairwell. So, I
Hmm.
mean, they couldn't name anything about what the apartment looked like. None of that. Yeah. So, but they also felt bad and they
Yeah.
apologized to me for what they did. And you know what? I forgive them.
I mean, it
They
wasn't their
apologized.
fault. I mean, that's crazy to even think about. Like 10 years for nothing, you know? Like that's
Yeah.
crazy to even think about.
Well, they asked for me to get 15 years is what they asked at my hearing. I
Mhm.
took an open guilty plea, and basically it was saying, you know, let the judge do what he may. My lawyer
Yeah.
said 0. He said he didn't sell the drugs, and I did drug court while I was out on bond. I was out on bond for 2 years, and
Mhm.
during that time I did drug court, and I was a speaker at the graduation of it, and did perfect, did everything, just everything down to T perfect.
Mhm.
And it, you know, it wasn't obviously was not enough. They asked for 15 years.
Mhm.
That's what the prosecution asked for, and I thought 15 mother years for having a house guest?
Yeah.
Shit.
A
So
lot.
when you have a drug dealer hanging out at your house, and somebody comes in and they've just come in for 10 seconds and get a little bag of dope, think
Mhm.
about this shit. Okay,
Yeah.
I got eight
Mhm.
years for somebody coming in my apartment that I didn't invite there, that I didn't know was coming there until
Yeah.
they got there. It was a random knock in the middle of the
Mhm.
night, and yeah, I feel awful about what happened, but in this particular case, I didn't do it. Now I did a million other things that I should have got caught for, and I didn't get caught for.
Mhm.
So it's not like I was some innocent person who just, you know,
Yeah.
you could say I might have had it coming,
Yeah.
but this
Did you do
particular
the
thing,
handoff?
no. And
No.
that's the crazy thing. That's what they made everything look like. But there's no way in hell that the dealer who's living in my house was going to give me $200 of heroin. You know why? Because
Mhm.
I was going to steal half of that heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way in hell they were going to give me $200 of heroin. I was going to take
No.
half of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they personally gave it to him. And the only
Mhm.
people who can tell you that are the person who's dead, the dealer, and me.
Mhm.
Because that's the only 3 people that were in the room at that time.
Yeah.
And they were not. If they wouldn't have come in the room unless they were going to give it to him. But this
Yeah.
agent was so sure, and this agent made sure he transported me to and from the federal building every time, which seems very illegal because
Yeah.
he transported me without my lawyer present, and he talked shit to me the whole time. Told me what a piece of
Mm.
shit I was. How I was this, I was that.
You
Apparently,
think he
his
was
daughter's
trying
a
to get you to
prostitute.
confess? Like trying to get a confession out of you?
No, I think he was trying to just talk shit to me and mess with me.
Yeah,
He
probably.
despised me. After my bond hearing, I'm not politically correct. I shouldn't even tell this one part. I'm not going to tell that one part. But anyway, I'm not politically correct, but I told a funny joke because he told me after my bond hearing, he was so mad at my bond hearing. The judge literally heard why I was there, and the judge looked at them and he said, "Why is he here?" That's what the judge said at my bond hearing. And he looked like Tommy Boy. Remember Tommy Boy when he starts going, "I should drive my car into a goddamn bridge embankment," and his hair was all crazy.
Yeah.
The judge kept doing this shit with his hair, and we're like, what the hell's going on? Like,
Wow.
and this lasted an hour and a half, a bond hearing, and he decided to let me out finally. But that investigating agent spoke highly against it, and he showed up at my house afterwards, and he says, "I can't believe they let you out. Can you stay late?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do it." And he said, "I don't believe you can." And I told him, there's only one thing I can't do, and I'm not gonna say what that is, but it ain't politically correct. I don't know if it's for YouTube, but you know, it was
Probably not.
there was a big old guy who was 6'6", 300 pounds, who always was with him. Now he was a little guy with a bald head, with a horseshoe bald head that just
Hmm.
irked me. But this big guy who was always with him looked like he jerked off the roadhouse. Um, like, I mean, seriously, he was a big old dude, and he
Hmm.
never spoke. He always just stood there and looked angry, like a
Hmm.
big old country dude. I
Hmm.
made him laugh so hard he doubled over the table, and he couldn't get up for probably an hour. Like
Yeah.
literally, not an hour. Literally, probably realistically 30 minutes.
So let me ask you something. So basically, all this happens. You said you were out on bond for 2 years. So you're what, 20? 20 when you go to jail? Like into prison?
Around 21 or 22 was what I was
Okay.
when I went to jail.
So
Yeah,
you're a kid. You're not
yeah,
that's a kid to me.
no,
So what was it
absolutely.
like that first day? Like walking through, realizing you weren't gonna leave, like that there was
Jail or
no
prison?
prison.
Okay, prison, that's a whole different story. Jail was a lot scarier because I thought this David Hasselhoff,
Really?
yeah, I thought this David Hasselhoff looking dude who was missing one of his front teeth was going to try to get that old butt. You know what I mean? Kind of like Felice Johnson. So I was scared as hell. He kept doing that and all this stuff, and that was scary as hell to me. So and I'm
Yeah.
18 years old. I couldn't do two pull ups. I was skinny fat at 135 pounds.
Yeah.
So he said next time he said it's or tonight, tomorrow's the day or whatever. And he goes, when he looked behind, he said, "I'm gonna follow you in it still afterwards." And I stayed up all night, and I thought, I'll be goddamn, this ain't gonna happen.
Oh
How the
no.
hell do I do this? Well, I can't go in a cell with him because he's 200 pounds. I'm 135 pounds. I can't even do two pull ups. He's gonna knock me out. I'm gonna wake up with blown out grippers. My butt's gonna hurt for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have to wear the pins. And that ain't good. That can't happen. I can't let that happen. So I'm gonna have to fight him in front of a bunch of people, and I'm gonna sneak him and hope the guards are close by and they'll just pull us apart real quick. So what can I do? And I thought all night, stayed up worrying like hell, and I got 3 packs of ramen noodle chili seasoning pack, and I put them in the palm of my hand. And he was washing his face off that morning,
Oh
and I
shit.
did a windmill. I did a windmill all the way from. I took it from the next county over,
Oh my
all the way to his
god.
face, smacked him right in his face
Oh
with it. And I didn't know nothing about, Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu or anything like that back then. So
yeah.
I was just flailing at him. I just
Mm-hmm.
started flopping my arms, flopping. The guards were crying so hard, they were laughing so hard when they came in that they took longer to get to us. And he's just screaming because he got chili powder in his eyes. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought, you ain't getting my butt, so I'm gonna hit you in the eye
I
with some
don't
chili powder.
blame you. I don't
Yeah,
blame you.
shit, Well, I went to the hole for 2 weeks. To the whole I should the whole probably inappropriate word in this context conversation since we're talking about this thing. So anyway, but I went to solitary for 2 weeks, and apparently the
Mm-hmm.
winner of the fight, since I technically was the winner, I just slammed some chili powder in his eyes. But when I got
Yeah.
back, everybody standing and applauding, and they were laughing. This old black man who went by Blue looked mean as hell, never
Mm-hmm.
smiled. Every time he looked at me, he just busted out laughing. He couldn't help but laugh every time he saw me. Apparently, it was a joke. David Hasselhoff did not want to rape me. He did not want
Oh
to do that.
shit.
It
And
was
you
just a joke.
oh my god, that's terrible. Poor guy.
I was yeah, I was the only one who wasn't in on the joke, which was unfortunate. So yeah, everybody's like, "Why'd you do that, man? Why'd you go do that?" And I'm like, "Man, she's gonna
It was my
do."
butt.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "No, it ain't gonna happen to me." No, no, sir, that ain't gonna happen. So, but yeah, no, my first day of prison was a lot funnier. That's my Forrest Gump prison story. So I went to prison, and my mom saw I had
Hey
5 months to self
Julie.
surrender.
Prison. That's what we're talking about.
Oh shoot, this one's a funny one. Now, this will make you laugh. So, imagine you get 5 months from
hmm
today, and you're told you got to go to prison for 8 years.
Man, that's what I was wondering. Like, where was your head at? Like when the door shut and you knew you weren't walking back at it for 8 years.
Well, when I walked in there, when it got to a month before I went, I started stressing really bad. My mom's like, "You're going to the damn doctor. You're getting on something to help you with
hmm
your damn nerves. You got bad
Yeah.
nerves anyway." And I got on Xanax. Well, on the way there, I figured, well, ain't no use in saving any of them.
Oh,
Can't take them with me. So I took the rest of them. And I mean, I'm surprised they let me on the compound because I was hiring draft pussy. And anyway, I get on the compound and I'm talking like this, like I'm special. And
wow.
you have to record your name into the telephone when you get to prison. And whatever name you record and the voice you record is the name and way you will say your voice for the next however many years, whether it's 20 years or whether it's 5 years. In the
Oh
federal
shit.
system, yeah. So I said, I decided I was going to tell everybody my name wasn't Spencer. It was Seth.
Oh
That
god.
way I know if my enemies were there before they knew if I was there. So I
Oh my
told
god.
everybody my name was Seth. So I get on the phone and I record my name and I say, Seth Mumpower. And that's exactly how I said it too. I know because I had to say this awful name for 5 damn years straight. I had
Oh
to
my
say,
god.
Seth Mumpower. Because if I didn't say it like that in that special needs type of voice, Forrest Gump type of voice,
Mm.
it wouldn't register on the phone. I wouldn't be able to make a phone call. I'd have to say this over and over again, and I'd have to say it loud. I couldn't say it quiet. I'd have to say, Seth Mumpower every time.
Oh my
And
god.
so that's a reason. Don't do drugs, kids. You know, because everybody would laugh like hell at me. They'd all laugh
I
whenever they
bet
want me.
they would. I would.
And also for 3 months, I got called Seth
By everybody.
by everybody, and they thought I had a hearing problem because they'd be like Seth, and I wouldn't respond. And well, one day
Oh
they saw my
man.
picture, and my picture, I got to find my ID, my
hmm
prison, because I looked like this. I looked like,
Okay.
you know,
Oh wow.
my grandma had a stroke, so she got kind of, the face. I had that
Yeah,
kind of
like
look.
Bell
You know
Posey,
what I mean?
like where half of you is like frozen.
That's what I was like. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I had going on at the time. So
hmm
anyway, yeah, half my face was like not working. But anyway, yeah. So I end up letting them see the ID, and they say, Spencer, how do you get Seth out of Spencer? And I said, you don't. I said, I was messed up when I got here. I told you guys my name was Seth. And they all busted out laughing like hell. And they said, well, do you want us to call you Seth or do you want us? I said, it'd be better if you call me Spencer. I said, it's been confusing
It'd be
the hell out of
better.
me. Yeah, I said, it's been 3 months being called some different name and everybody thinks I've got hearing problems.
Oh, out of curiosity,
Yeah.
somebody in the chat has a question. They want to know how many years the person that actually sold got.
Oh, 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
All
which is
right. So
mandatory
you
minimum.
didn't take it all. Like they actually got something. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah. And they told me that if I had told on the dealer of that person, which I know everything about that I could have got no time, that I
hmm
wouldn't have to go at all. And since I would not speak on that person, that was another reason why, yeah, they asked for such a high number. Uh, 15 years for having somebody come in your apartment to buy
Oh, so
drugs.
you basically could have got out of all of it if you snitched. All of it, pretty much.
On the dealer's dealer, yeah, yeah. So technically, but by technicality, what people look at it as, like, you got some of these cornball people. There's some people, when you do good, they want to trash you and everything else. Technically, people look at it as like Well, I snitched, but I snitched on my snitch.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I get you.
you know, and anybody here can say whatever they want. If you tell me that this guy over here robbed a bank,
Mhm.
and he said I robbed the bank,
Mhm.
and that I'm going to do 20 years for that, unless I say he's a mother liar.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, what the is he thinking?
Yeah.
You know, no, I'm not
Yeah.
doing no. Well, that's basically what happened here. No, negative. I'm not doing 40-year mandatory minimum for something I didn't do
Yeah.
when the person who's blaming me is the person who sold it.
Yeah. No, I get you there.
I mean, that's
I
that's
don't think that's snitching either. I just don't. We got another question though. What was it like for
yeah.
you, like when you got out, like to adjust back to things like cooking, driving on a stove, like normal home
Driving scared the
things?
shit out of me.
I bet. I bet.
Driving scared the absolute hell. Me and my mom got a fight whenever I first got done. Whenever I first
By
got
the
out
way,
because
his mother is an angel, y'all. Like she's an absolute angel. So like I'm sure it was all on him. And
my mom is. It's like that. What was that? The Angels and Demons. That was a Da Vinci Code like sequel,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, Angels and Demons. That's a good nickname for her. She can be angel. She can be demon. She's mostly angel, but she can be a demon when she needs to be. But God, she was driving, and she'll drive with everything e- except her hands. She'll drive with her knees. She'll drive with two fingers. Have her hand fooling with everything else. And I'm like, "Watch the road." She says, "When it rains, I have Tourette's because I'll be like, scat, ah," every time when she runs. And and you got to think, I haven't been in a car for 5 years.
yeah. Yeah.
Driving 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour down the interstate,
Mhm.
terrifying.
I bet. I bet.
It's the scariest thing ever. Like it really is. For me, I got in a wreck when I was at a Honda S2000. Now it's back in the Fast and Furious days, so
Oh,
don't
I
judge me.
like those cars. Yeah.
It's like a Miata, but for men. You know,
yeah. Yeah, I
that's
would
how I
agree with that.
describe.
I'm a Miata girl,
Yeah.
so
Well, you're a girl, so that's okay.
I've
I
had
had to throw
plenty
that
of
one in there
boyfriends
on it.
borrow my car and get called a few things they should have.
But that S2000, man, that was my running car. That was how that car kept me alive.
yeah.
Uh, because my job was to get Zoe back.
Yeah.
And there were times that people tried to run me off the road. There were times that people followed me, that people tried to basically rob the load and they would have took my life if they could have.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to rob somebody for $35,000 worth of stuff, wholesale value,
Mhm.
why are you going to leave a witness when there's only one witness and
No.
nobody will know who took it?
Yeah. No, I
And
feel that.
it was like thinking back on some of it, it makes my nerves bad just thinking about it because once I got to Catawba Mountain, it was my
Yeah,
mountain that
that's
I
down here
knew.
now about that's down here near about me. By me. Catawba, North
Where is
Carolina,
it?
right?
No, Virginia.
Oh, okay. I'm in the wrong
Yeah,
area.
no,
My
this is
bad. Go
different.
ahead.
It's completely different, but it's just a windy mountain. And I knew how to drive it fast. And
Mhm.
once I got to that mountain, I knew wasn't anybody going to catch me.
Yeah.
I had supercharged it. I put, cold air intake, get a little computer chip, everything. It was a
Night terror.
fast man. It was incredible. I love that car, and you weren't going to catch me in that car once I got on Catawba Mountain because I knew the road so well.
Yeah.
And but there were times where man, it was close, and
Yeah.
and yeah, it sucks, but yeah. But
It's
anyway,
scary.
sorry,
No,
didn't
you're
mean to
good.
divert off top. What was we talking about before that? I've got
Uh
ADD, OCD, all kinds of other ABCs.
shoot,
So
you know I got
you know,
ADD too, so I have no idea where we were before that.
oh shoot,
Let's
good
see.
luck with
Well, we
that.
had a question. You answered that though. Well, she wanted to know what's it like cooking on a stove, going from prison, and where you like make everything in a microwave.
Yeah, we had a stove. We had a stove at the low security where I was in prison.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat. Huh?
It wasn't allowed, but we made one. See,
Uh,
my roommates were on maintenance
huh?
9, and how they did that was they took a fan. So imagine a fan, a steel fan with the rings around it, and you
Mhm.
take the center, but the blade, you take the blade
Mhm.
off. They found a stove eye. They attached the stove eye to where the blade would be. when you hooked it in to the
Huh.
outlet, it got red hot.
So you basically had a hot plate.
Yeah, and then
Damn.
they welded together a little wooden handle with the stainless steel. They made a
Yeah.
skillet,
Huh.
and we had fried
Nice.
chorizo sausages with grilled cheese and all kinds of man. Some of the two of the best meals in my life that I've eaten, and this is not this is not glorifying anything. This is just honest to God truth. There's a
Yeah.
guy who said Gus off Breaking Bad might have been the inspiration. This guy might have been the inspiration for, which was
Hmm.
Sean Penn.
Yeah,
He's
you
a
were telling him.
Caribbean.
I was looking him up earlier. I saw some of his stuff. So yeah.
Sean's was my good friend. He became my very good friend in there. He could cook. I never had a seafood fritter. I didn't know
Mhm.
what a seafood fritter was.
Oh, they're
But
good. Shoot.
they got oysters and clams on the commissary in there. Smoked oysters, smoked clams.
Wow.
Yep.
Is fed better than regular like steak? I mean, I'm assuming yes. I've heard yes, but just
Depending on your custody level.
okay.
Depending on your custody level and different things. But if you're talking about United States penitentiaries, USPs, which
Hmm.
are the high security, like Chad's Blood on the Razor Wire, like what he was in, Big Sandy, that was one of the
Yeah.
worst ones. Those places are not. Those places
No.
are the worst. And like
Hmm.
Beaumont, it's the worst one. Big Sandy, it's one of the worst ones. They are the worst. There's nothing that is worse than the USPs in the federal system. You don't have a choice. You have to go by gang. You have to be in a gang, or you have to be in a
Hmm.
car. And a car is basically it's a stupid ass name for a gang.
Yeah.
It's a gang for the white guys that are from D.C., Maryland, Virginia,
Yeah.
uh, you know, or whatever. And wherever you're from, you just hang with the guys the same color from where you're from. And now, see, that worked out real well for me because when I went into prison, my ex was black, and so what I look like hanging out with the Aryan Brotherhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was dark enough. I look kind of like an amigo, but then you
Hmm.
hear me talking, you're like, well, nope.
Not gonna pass on that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mostly hung out the Pisces. That's mostly who I hung out with, which that just means countrymen. It's a gang for Mexicans, not in a gang. And my cellmate was the
Hmm.
number two for all of them. And that's just mostly who I hung out with. And my workout group that I worked out with that I lifted weights with was all guys from my area that were black. I mean,
Yeah.
I was raised like that, to just write off like, someone just because how they look or whatever, I
Yeah.
hate everybody equally.
Yeah.
So, you know, they don't have to be special or anything for me to hate them. I mean, they can be the same color as me. They can be everything. I hate
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah. But,
Wow. Well, were you pressured at all when you were in there, like by the AB guys or anybody like that to join up?
oh, no. Ironically, I'll tell you who the hell I was pressured by. You're going to laugh your ass off about this. Okay, I got a beard right now. If I went through TSA, I'd be getting molested right now. They'd credit card me and everything. I found a solution by that, by the way. If you start giggling, like if you start going, whenever they start, whenever they tell you they want to pat you down, you go, they'll quit patting you down. They get uncomfortable. But anyway, um,
Hey,
they
B.
kept trying they kept trying to record me, recruit me to the Muslims.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Hmm.
is it because I look like I belong in a convenience store at a cash register? I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? Like I look like my name's Apu, and it's because the beard, and it's because with the
Yeah.
nose and facial structure, I could be one of about 15 different nationalities.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, different
Hey,
one.
Marissa.
Yeah, it happened all the time. Try to recruit
That's
me,
crazy.
and I'm like,
Hmm.
appreciate you, but nope, I'm all good, buddy. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of people getting pressured and like they'll actually like do shit to make them to where they're like scared, so they do join up.
Yeah, I don't do well with that. If people ask me nicely, I'll give my last buck to somebody if they ask me nicely. But if anybody
Yeah.
tells me to do something, I don't do well with that. And that's the thing, it's more about, just being willing to stand up for yourself. There was one guy in
Yeah.
there, Bolt. Bolt
Hmm.
lost 16 fights straight.
Hmm.
I saw him lose 16 fights. He got his ass whooped 16 times. He got his ass stomped 16 times. He was missing one of his eyes. And that eye
Hmm.
was from getting in a fight at the prison before where he lost another fight. So he finally beat this little short, fat sex offender who went by Ricky Bobby. And I gave Bolt a hug, shook his hand. I was so proud of him that day. But Bolt was always fighting. And nobody would mess with Bolt, though, because they knew I'm going to have to fight that crazy old man.
Yeah.
One eye. He's crazy as hell. And, he'd walk around. We had MP3 players in prison. I don't know if you knew that or
Mhm.
not.
Yeah, I know what they are. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no, but
didn't know
the
that you
fact,
had them, but
yeah, it surprised me that and he would download gospel music, and he sound
aw.
like kind of, yeah, but he'd sound like Cher, like a blue tick hound dog, and he'd try to sing that, when he was going around, and it would sound all funky, and people be like, "Man, Bolt, we're trying to sleep. Sit your ass down somewhere." And he'd be like, "Oh, sorry. God bless you, brother." But on the same next sentence, he'd be like, "F you, mother ever. I don't give a F." And
Oh. Well,
yeah, so he
I don't think the way you speak has anything to do with your relationship with God, so.
yeah, I don't think God would have a problem with the F word either. And this is something I feel strongly about, and I talk about regularly, don't I? Yeah. Okay, I told my grandma about this, and the reason why is because now my ex's parents thought if you drank wine, you were going to hell, and I'm like, didn't Jesus turn water into wine?
Yeah.
That's some country ass thinking right there. Now, second off, the F word comes from the German word flicken, which means to
Mhm.
strike.
Mhm.
It was invented in the last 100 years.
Hmm.
So, who are we to say that there would be a problem with God with the F word?
Yeah.
That'd be like if I said ooga booga is a bad word. And in
Mhm.
50 years, you can't say ooga booga because it's bad with God.
Yeah.
That
No,
sounds
I
crazy as
agree
hell.
with you there.
Yeah. So I think that Jesus would say the F word. You know, he hung with the prostitutes, with the thieves, and he's trying to bring the people that really needed it back around.
Yeah.
And it's a
Mhm.
slang word. I don't think Jesus would have a problem with the F word. My
Yeah, I
grandma
don't
gets
either.
mad as yeah, she gets mad at me when I say that. Uh, but but I always get in arguments with her about that every time. Every, yeah,
So what was it like, for your family when you got out? Like, were you completely different? Like, how was it?
man. When you first get out of the federal system, they let you out to a halfway house.
Mhm.
So I'm from Roanoke, Virginia. I had to go to Winston Salem, North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew you had ties down there. That's why I was like, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and I got to train with world champion, two-time world champion Paulo Santana, and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I'm a
Oh,
blue
yeah,
belt
you
under
didn't
him.
tell anybody about your fighting. You didn't tell them yet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did jujitsu for probably the last 5 years, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and blue belt in that. Third degree brown belt in judo under an Olympian named Tariq Bonaire. He was an Olympian for the Egyptian team, coached the U.S. team. Done some boxing with Scott Cujo Sigmund. I've had 2 MMA fights. The first MMA fight I had was 19 days after I got out of jail for jumping out of a second floor window, running a mile down the street, and kicking in state troopers' windows, which I was drinking every day, smoking a pack of cigarettes every day, and I was on that Mexican rocket fuel, son, so I wasn't quite right in the head. So
Yeah.
I had no business being in an MMA match 19 days after I got out
Yeah,
of
no.
jail,
Mm-mm.
but they put me in there, and I beat the shit out of that guy for 4 minutes and 45 seconds of the first round, and then the second round I hung in there, but the third round I gassed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was also forced to take. I was living with the promoter, his wife, and it's a long story, but I think he had a gambling problem. They made me take a 300 milligram Seroquel the night before,
Mhm.
and if you know what
Yeah.
Seroquel is, 300 milligrams is a tremendous amount.
Yeah, no, 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 you told me that the other day. I was like, "How are you even standing up?"
And it was awful. It was terrible, and
Mhm.
and he told me to keep on going, keep on, don't go for a submission, keep you striking. And if I'd ignored his ass and just done what I do, I would have tapped him
Mhm.
out in the first round.
Yeah.
The second fight, I ignored the hell out of him. He changed my opponent. I fought somebody who had 50 some fights,
Mhm.
and I tapped him out in 90 seconds by guillotine. And so
Dang.
I was supposed to lose.
Mhm.
And it made him mad as hell because he bet against me. I bet, from what I understand. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah. Now he knocked the hell out of me though. He kicked my
Yeah.
leg. He knew my leg was hurt though, so that told me that somebody had told him some
Yeah.
bad information like,
They had
yeah,
already given him some intel.
yeah. And then, sure enough, he's telling me, "Don't go for a submission." I'm like, "Screw that." I got
Yeah.
a hold of, got that arm around his neck, and I said, "Well, this is my choke right here. This is my bread and butter."
Yeah.
And I tried to pop his head off. I tried to pop
Mm,
his head off his shoulder, and yeah, I beat him, and I was talking to him, and I was a little nervous. I was scared, like going
mm,
into the fight, because I was thinking this guy's got 50 some fights and everything else. So instead of getting all nervous and everything, I feel like I'm gonna get trashed. Like every time I feel like I'm gonna go in there and beat somebody, and I'm getting my
mhm.
ass kicked. Every time I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna get trashed, I end up kicking someone's ass. So I went in there and I started Nate Diaz in him. I started saying, started calling him a hoe, told him his mom's a bitch, and and when they were getting ready to reset us in the middle of the ring, I said, when they reset us, I'm gonna smack you like the bitch you are. I said, because I'm not even gonna punch you. I'm gonna smack you like the bitch you are. And I
Yeah.
smacked about 20 times. The video's up. I posted a video of this too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when they reset us, I open hand
Mhm.
smack him. I'm not punching him. I'm smacking
Oh
him.
shit! Wow.
Yeah. And
Dang.
we get in a scramble, and that's when I get him in the guillotine. But I apologized to him immediately afterwards. If you watch the video, I'm saying, I am so sorry, man. I said, I never talk to people like that. I said, I felt so bad for talking to him like that. I was like, man,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
You
I knew
needed
you
to
had
amp yourself up. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to, and I had to get mad because
Yeah.
there was a guy who tried to rob a guy who tried to rob my mom's house when I was there. Him and his buddy
Mhm.
came in the back door with
Yeah.
a couple people, and they
Mhm.
had him in the front row trying to intimidate me. And I said, it just made me angry when I saw his big ugly ass shoot
Yeah.
stand in front row trying to intimidate me. I thought, shit, it just made me mad. Is all that
And that
did.
dude, we're gonna have to talk about him one day because he's a piece of work. Not that, well, that dude too,
Yeah.
but the original dude. You know who I'm talking about with the
Oh
V.
yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
we had a question. So, were there any prison programs you were in? Did you take advantage of any of them, or what?
There's all a joke, but I took the RDAP drug program, which
Hmm.
took a year off. That took a year off my sentence.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Why are they all a joke? Out of curiosity.
Well, RDAP
Just.
drug program is a joke because drug problems, in my personal opinion, are based on mental health issues primarily. They're not
Yeah.
based on behavioral issues. Now,
Hmm.
the RDAP drug program was 100% based on behavioral issues. So
Mm,
they had a rule like when you're walking on the compound, you had to keep it moving. You couldn't stand still and talk with people. You had to keep your feet moving when you're on the sidewalk. Well, not everybody has homies on the corner chilling on the block. Some of these
yeah.
people live down in a holler and they're selling
Yeah.
pills out of a trailer. They don't have
Hmm.
homies on the corner and they don't have to keep
Yeah.
their feet moving. That's something that don't apply to them. And
Yeah.
a lot of these people have mental health issues that need to be treated, and there was zero any treatment.
That's shitty.
Yeah, it was all just behavioral stuff. Like it was like if you weren't raised right, yeah, it taught you
Hmm.
some manners. But if you were raised right and you had really legitimate addiction issues, it did absolutely nothing to help you whatsoever.
That
It
sucks.
was
That really sucks.
it was so far behind. Everything
Yeah.
was so far behind, and it really disgusted and upset me because it felt like the biggest waste of time and money. And they make you do stupid things like sit in a timeout chair. That was one of your punishments. Like if you
Mm.
got caught standing out in the compound, you had to sit in a timeout chair for 2 hours. And what that is, there's a chair, and you had to sit in it. There's a chair that's empty in front of you, and people who walk by can give you some advice, and you have to write it down, and you have to turn the paper in at the end of the hour.
Oh wow. So it's basically like re-raising you if you weren't like raised by your parents or whatever. It's basically for like wayward kids almost, or a program that
Yeah.
would be for like wayward kids.
Now, what I did, yeah, but see, what I did is to keep racial balances. Now, this is medium security where I was at talking about this part. They have four what they
Hmm.
call senior peers, which are inmates that graduated. One
Hmm.
white, one black, one Mexican, and then the fourth can be like a Puerto Rican or a Native American, whatever.
Hmm.
You got to be something else, but you got to do that to balance everything out. So for me, I paid off 3 out of 4 of them because I told them I don't want to go up there because they make you give speeches and stuff like that. I said I don't want to do that.
Hmm.
So I paid off each of them, and I made cheesecake that was really good in there. Now it's going to sound crazy as hell,
Yeah.
but creamer, coffee make coffee creamer, and lemon juice, the little lemon juice ball, 2/3 of one of
Mm.
those coffee creamer locks it up, turns it from like a liquid back to a solid, and you can have like a baseball sized scoop turned upside down like a Dairy Queen Blizzard. It's going
Yeah.
to stick. It's going to
Huh.
stick to it. Good. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Because my dad, like, he loves that Coffee Mate Creamer because I told you he was a guard. So, like,
Yeah.
he got addicted to Coffee Mate Creamer. Like the powdered stuff. Like, he loves
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's what's crazy too is the generic ass type that you need to make the cheesecake. I can't seem to find. It's the most generic kind.
I gotta show you this shit because I bet this is it. Because, like, he got so addicted to it while he was working there.
It's gonna be funny if
Let me see. Look.
this is gonna be
I bet
hilarious.
you this is it. I bet you this is it.
No,
That won't work
it
because
might
that's
work.
the only shit he will drink. That's all he'll drink in his coffee. That's it.
The one I'm talking about is kind of like it's a little lighter. It's like a yellowish kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
No, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
yeah, yeah. But there's some that look like it, but it's not the right damn one. And I've tried to make it
Hmm.
sense, but I don't know. I'm not really sure with it. But, wait, Ricky Bobby is my cousin's go-to. He'll give that restaurant. Oh, he said something about Ricky. I saw something about Ricky Bobby down there. I couldn't help it. Yeah, see,
Yeah,
that's a.
I think she was talking about when you said your name was Seth.
Oh God, that was awful. That was awful. They had all kinds of weird nicknames in there. Like
I
there's one
swear,
guy
every
called.
time you call me from now, I'm just gonna be like, "Hey, Seth, what's up?"
Oh Lord, that irks the shit out of me. Uh,
I bet it does.
that's something. Yes, Seth Mumper. That's literally what I had to say. That's the same tone I had to say it in
And
because
you
I
couldn't
said
call
no,
out without it. That's so funny.
no. For 5 years I had to say Seth Mumper, and for some reason I make like a face when I say it too. So I look a little extra on the spectrum when I do that. And
Oh God.
yeah, I'm
So
Seth.
that is
Uh,
something. I did want to ask you, did they have anything like that for you in there? Like, did they support your mental health? Like you were saying, like the alcohol drug and treatment program you didn't. Nothing.
Hell no, they didn't do a damn thing for that. They give you some
Mm-hmm.
medicine, and the medicine I took, I didn't know when I got there. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
that people snorted Wellbutrin.
Dude, I found that out because I was on it and like I watched this documentary and like people shoot it up in Canada and it'll like eat your skin out like alligator. Like it makes you look
Oh
like you have
God.
alligator skin.
That's awful. But like, no, but it's. I didn't know it either, but I started using it as a pre-workout. It did work.
Yeah.
But some people got addicted to it. I saw more beatings over Wellbutrin than I did anything else.
That's
Wellbutrin,
crazy.
Neurontin. That's the two
A
things.
neuron. Neurontin's I take that too. That's gabapentin, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Damn.
yeah.
That's
They charge
crazy.
$5 for 1,800 milligrams.
That's
Yep.
crazy. That's nuts. That's nuts.
Now the
And they did
Wellbutrin
nothing other
people,
than throw medicine at you. They did no counseling, no nothing.
they don't throw medicine at you. You gotta be crafty to be able to
Well,
get
yeah,
that.
you know what I mean,
Uh,
but like they didn't do counseling, they
yeah,
didn't do any kind of like actual
nah,
like work with you.
man. My counsel. Let me tell you what my counsel said on my first day there. I walked in there and this guy Tex took me down to my counsel's office and he told me go on in. So I opened the door and there was this column and you got to remember I took the Xanax that day, so I'm already like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know. I lean up against the column and I say, "Hello, Mr. Dunstan," and he says, looks at me, he goes, "Who the are you? What the you doing in my office? Back the fuck up." And I said, "Oh, holy shit." He said, "What do you want? Visitation forms? You new here?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "Come back at 6 o'clock. Get in my office. Get out." And I said,
Wow.
"Okay." And I walked out. I said, "What the just happened?" Well, I went back at 6 o'clock, and guess what?
What?
He wasn't there. He leaves at 5.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and it took me 3 months to get my family on the visitation form, and it was right before my birthday. So that was awful because I want to see my mom on my birthday, obviously. And I had told him, I said, "Mr. Dawson, I'm gonna have to go to Miss Vukolich
Hmm.
if you don't approve my visiting form, man."
Yeah.
And he said, "F Miss Vukolich, I run this prison." Well, apparently he didn't think that whenever Miss Vukolich came to talk to him about my problem, because they said he was walking around the building, you know, 2 or 3 times looking for me, and I was in the bathroom, and whenever I came out, he said, "There the f you are. What the f you think I'm doing? Holding your goddamn visitation form?" I said, "Mr. Johnson, my birthday's next week. I just want to see my mom." He said,
Yeah.
"Keep on." I'm gonna send you to Lee Hall where the at talking about the gay people, and he
Yeah.
said, and they're gonna put you right next to that shower because that with that big shit they have a big shower down there, but nobody takes group showers in the feds. That does not happen. That does
Yeah.
not happen. Do not take community showers. You take single showers. Even if there's multiple shower heads, there's one shower curtain. One person goes in. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, well, I mean, there are people that go in together, but I mean, that's a whole nother story. That's one of them late night activities. One of them,
Yeah. Mhm.
that thing. But anyway, he said, "You want to mess with me? I'm gonna send you to Lee Hall where the are at." He says, "All they do is all night over there. All you're gonna hear is," and he starts clapping, making that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, "Think about it. You Lee Hall,
Ooh.
f with me." And yeah, he wasn't happy with me.
Damn, and
Yeah.
that's your counselor. That's like the person who's supposed to be helping you get right when you go back into society.
Yes, that is
God,
my
that's
counselor, and
ridiculous. It's
yeah, it's
insane.
literally it's terrible. They're the most unapproachable people on the planet, and you feel like, oh my god, how am I going to talk to anybody about anything and get anything together and be ready? I can't. I'm scared to even talk to this man
Yeah.
because he makes funny in front of everybody, and I just
Mhm.
started learning to make fun of him back. I tell him, we
Yeah.
saw you on TV getting picking up the well, I can't say that. It's just politically correct world. They're picking up certain type of people on what is it, Boulevard? And I just make stuff up like that, and
Yeah.
he'd take his ass off down the hall because he knew even a rumor like that was going to stick to him. So they keep him from messing with me
Damn.
because no, he'd torment you, he'd torture you, he would torture you, torment you.
That's
And,
terrible. Like
yeah.
that's just awful that that's the person that should have been setting you up for success and he was taking you down.
Oh,
Like
he was terrible.
honestly too, another question I got just cuz of something going on. How would it have been for you in prison if let's say somebody had taken your done something to you to take your privileges away where you couldn't talk to your family, couldn't talk to your girlfriend, couldn't talk to your people at all. Like writing, no calling, no nothing. Like how would that have affected you?
That'd have been bad. Now I did have some stuff. I did have my commissary taken for 6 months, and I had my visits
Mhm.
taken for a year.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, I had my visits taken for a year. That was a hard one. Uh, that was really hard actually.
yeah.
And then I had the email taken for a certain amount of time too. You had email, you had phone,
Mhm.
uh, email, phone, visits. Then
Mhm.
MP3 player was one they took away too. Um, but yeah, it would be terrible.
Yeah. What
That's
if it
what
was
keeps
like
you.
some out of spite, out of something you didn't even do? Like what would you do to that person? How would you feel about that person? Just
If somebody got me in trouble and got something taken away from me,
no, got
that
all your shit shut down. Got your phone, got your visits, got all of your connection to the outside world taken away from you. Like your
well, I mean,
entire
they get
stay.
they get me, I'd have to get them back.
Well,
I'd be
yeah,
mad
I'm
as
just
hell.
yeah. I was curious because just I feel like that's the most isolated thing you can do to somebody because it's your outside contact. Like that's how you live. That's your world,
Yeah,
realistically.
that's how people get poked full of holes in there.
Yeah, no,
And
no kidding.
I would have been a chief from a tribe called Smackahoe,
Yeah,
if that had happened.
yeah,
That would not have gone well. That would have no. If somebody got that's what kept me sane was
yeah.
knowing that I had.
Hmm.
You know, I'm a mama's boy, be it as it may, whatever. Uh, take away my damn phone calls from my mom, and
Hmm.
that would
Yeah.
have been an issue. Uh, Even if it was just for 1 minute a day, I made sure and call. We only got 300 minutes a month to call on the phone. By the way,
Oh wow. Huh.
300. That's 10 minutes a day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Could you buy more than that, or that was it?
No, you had to pay for those 300 minutes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh damn. Damn. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Because
Yeah.
like my ex was in state and he stayed on my phone the entire time.
Yeah. I've seen people do it just back to back, calling, 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 and
It's annoying. As a girlfriend, it's
yeah.
annoying. Like you
I'll
miss
tell
on the
you.
shit, but it's annoying.
Yeah, and then guys have crazy things too. They're gonna get suspicious as hell, wondering, what the hell. They're like, "Was she out there doing something?" and everything else, and probably
Yeah.
because everything
Better be
else.
at home, not doing nothing at all. Like
Yeah,
that,
so
and
I need
that sounds bad, but like I was legitimately like faithful. Like I was 100% committed. All those things. Like there was no. I just don't have that bone in my body, and I wasn't doing nothing. But like he called me, I'd be at the store, and it's like, well, what you doing at the store? What'd you buy? And why you there? Blah blah blah. And I'm like,
and you're
Jesus
doing the right
Christ.
thing. Yeah, yeah, I get that, and, but I was paranoid after well, it's not paranoid if shit happened. So, the girl I was with at the time waited till about a year before I got out, and she got on heroin knowing my whole story. Go figure. She moves a
Hmm.
guy in the apartment, totals a car,
That's awful.
steals 100,000 from my mom's business. It was bad. And,
Terrible.
anyway, I tell her she gotta get my name tattooed giant on her back if she wants me to stay with her. She gets a big infinity symbol on her shoulder blade and my name on her shoulder blade, really big. Uh, yeah, and told me, "When are you gonna get my name tattooed on you?" I said, "Shit, when
I'd
you
still
keep your
100
shut
grand,
when you keep your legs shut for and a needle out of your arm for about 6 months." And I never talked
right?
like that. We didn't fight for 4 years. The first 4 years we were together, we didn't have a
Hmm.
fight. But that's because she was just
Mm,
agreeable. You don't fight with somebody
yeah,
for 4 years, wrong. And she was just agreeable, bobblehead, and But then
yeah.
when I found out stealing and cheating, all that stuff, but also there's two funny things that came off of that. I'm ADD, so I'm trying to remember what I was getting at when I was saying that.
You're
But
good.
one thing was that was the first time I found out that that was not her hair. I always wondered if that was her hair. White people, black people hair.
Hmm.
If it was a weave, And I asked
Yeah.
her. This was already an awkward situation. Now I've got a question to ask you. Is that your
Hmm.
hair? I said I was scared to touch it. I was scared if I grabbed it, it might come off in my hand.
Hmm.
What the hell? And yeah, so that was the interesting thing. Had to mention there. Uh, I went 5 years without knowing if that was her damn hair or not. Because she before she started getting on the drugs, she had I guess it was horse hair or whatever the hell it is. I don't know how weaves work. You know,
Yeah.
listen to how I talk and how I look. Do I look like I know how a weave works? No, I
Yeah.
don't. I don't know shit about that. But all I know is it started looking like two squirrels screwing on top of her head. And,
Oh
because she can't
God.
afford that high end stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm
Hmm.
like, what the hell happened to your head? And
Yeah.
she had the money paid for it. She's busy putting it in her arm. And
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, she oh God. I'm not even gonna go there on the other thing. The other thing, no, no, not even going there.
You're
Never mind.
good. Because I was about to say we hit an hour. This
Yeah,
went really well. We're gonna do it again. I'm gonna bug him and I'm gonna make him come back. So, and I'm gonna go on your show whenever we figure out how
absolutely.
to get it done. But
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
So everybody, if you guys enjoyed, we're gonna do this again. And I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate it, Spencer. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Bye.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.